It's GRUNTo square one, getting ready to roll out on Ilios. Both squads looking like they're going to be running a pretty standard 3-3 mirror.
Yeah, and this is the one stage here in Ilios where you can oftentimes get more DPS-centric compositions, but going into it, I think both teams running 3-3 just not wanting to deal with the entire dynamic of, oh, the other team's running 3-3 and we have to dislodge them from the point. No, we're going to run 3-3 and just run into them.
Notice how both squads right now are, they're just spamming each other. There's just shield presence. They're playing chicken, and who's going to be the first drop down, or playing GRUNTo?
GRUNTo's playing chicken, you don't say.
GRUNTo playing chicken, yeah? As you see now, both squads have dropped down now.
We're going to see GRUNTo move on in. Tizzy in danger, and Tizzy immediately getting bursted down. Both Reinhardts out of the fight, and square one, getting a little bit more poke damage on the side. Harblue taking down his counterpart. Now you're going to see GRUNTo move on over into the point. You know, me GRUNTo, me take point.
Me GRUNTo, me take point.
We're not overusing that, by the way.
No.
I've basically just killed it right then and there.
And for GRUNTo, a lot of that first fight is just because even though they dropped first, they might have had the slightly worse positioning. They kept the Discord on hot date the entire fight. And that's one of the key portions for Zen, is that making sure you have a focus target, you have a clear, decisive target, which is exactly what GRUNTo did. They wanted to get the isolation onto one person, keep that Discord on them, not swap the focus.
So GRUNTo in a good position here. Square one just debating when are they going to drop down. And now decide to move on in. Jolt going in, getting the bubble, staying alive. Meanwhile, Tizzy dropping the shatter, knocking down two. GRUNTo looking to move on in off that. Hot State and Jolt getting very, very low. And just too much damage after the shatter. Brigitte already down. Square one, they use the Transcend to stay in the fight, but unfortunately, they're down one, and GRUNTo now is going to be casually moving back over into them, and square one, time to reset.
GRUNTo currently getting the better of these engagements, but also I think a trance for Rob Dev that was a little bit too late. Also not even about late in that it was bad. It was bad not because it was late, but rather it was not needed. The fight would won, their Transcendence is over for square one, their position was done, they were down a player. So now they don't have trance for Dove's grab, which is coming back in. And when you're looking at GRUNTo's positioning, a lot of this is going to be dependent on Harblue get that peel grab, deny the clean of the goal, and continue to beat.
Oh, Graviton can be coming out early from Harb, and not thrown away at all. Forces out the beat on the other side, square one. Going to be rallying after the beat, looking to move into GRUNTo. Tizzy, though, drops a shatter. Square one, going to be short game mostly off. Now, going to be using a Graviton of their own. They drop the shatter. They're moving on in. They have the bomb in from Hot Date, and that's going to be finishing things up. Square one, getting the edge here in this fight, but still a very long way to go. They're going to be flipping things back over, but GRUNTo, they just need one more fight.
One fight left, and for GRUNTo, when you look at that engagement, I talked about how Harblue needed to save that grab potentially for the engage, as well as need that beat as well for Dove's grab, and they use both early. They tried to engage early, Harblue drops that early Graviton, forces some ult out of square one, and Zolik also drops that beat, hoping that they could follow up from the shatter, but they couldn't, and then they did not have that for the grabs. They lose the fight because of it. Now GRUNTo having to re-enter the point, and like we talked about, they need one fight. They can take ego pushes, they can force ults out of square one and just build up their own.
I mean, there's multiple different ways for them to approach it here, and I think for them, just having a few eco fights, as you say, would be a great idea. And Transcendence out early from Tri-Spear, and Rob says, you're gonna Transcend, I'm gonna Transcend too. I don't think he really needed to there, but does it nonetheless. Both Reinhardt's out of the fight, but still working a little bit better here for GRUNTo. They have more people on the point. They get the flip at square one, getting pushed on back. Graviton in from Harblue, pulls in two, and that should be the round.
GRUNTo getting just so much more in this early neutral fight. They had an initial flank with Salty. Salty was just sitting on the backline, actually dueling with Hot Date, and Hot Date didn't get the orb in time. I don't know if they didn't hear that he needed the peel, he needed the heals, but Hot Date gets CMX so early, that puts extra pressure on the backline. They force the trance, then Rob just hits him with the counter trance. And that's something that just can't happen, ZP, is that you can't have flankers in the 3-3 mirror. You can't have flankers getting value. You can't have flankers winning their 1v1s, especially when it's a Diva v Diva fight. Because all you have to do when the fight is not happening is just make sure they stay alive, have the orb on them. So
right now, I feel like the stage we're heading to now in Ruins is the biggest litmus test of what we can expect, really, for the rest of the series, where if a team is going to be more prone to running DPS and getting away from the mold of 3-3, they'll usually run something other than 3-3 here, and what are we seeing from both GRUNTo and Square One? 3-3. So really looking towards the rest of the maps coming up here, I think this could be a very 3-3-centric series.
GRUNTo rolling out here on the right side, going to be meeting Square One. Both teams fighting this pretty archetype fight where you fight for the pack, you fight for the control here on the high ground as the Ryan's just swinging, the bubbles traded.
GRUNTo being a little bit more aggressive, moving in. Hot Date and Dove very, very low. Square One, they need to give up a little bit of ground. They've just lost the poke war way too hard here. Jolt super low, and GRUNTo in hot pursuit. Square One, though, they are able to disengage. They'll get a chance to heal up Jolt, but comes at a cost, and that cost is first control, and oh! The pressure comes in, and Dove is down.
And you nailed it there in the analysis in that it's all the neutral fight. It was the neutral fight. Both teams have the same rollout. They have the same game plan. They trade bubbles, but GRUNTo just gets the much better. They're playing the off angles better. They get the early presence onto Jolt in particular, who is a little bit more aggressive. You can tell by his Earth Shatter percentage that he tried to be more aggressive, try to get more damage, but at the cost of his health, the cost of the pressure.
This is Salty coming in over the top, looking for the isolation, and they get it. Tri-Spear down before Transcendence can be built. Square One, though, firing on back. Harblue down. We're going to see the rally used from Square One as they try and bring this back over to GRUNTo. See, though? Shatter midway through, going to drop the Shatter. Jolt onto the ground. Are they going to use beat here to save Jolt? They do. They use the beat midway through, but it's not really saving. It just gives them a slight extension on life.
Slight extension on life, and you see Wub trying to be a menace on the background, but this fight's done. Square One, the beat, even if it didn't necessarily save Jolt, it did save the fight for them. You see GRUNTo are going to have this contest. They're going to have to use the bubble. Salty doing a little bit of aerodynamics, a little bit of spinning about.
You know, set the DPI switch to maximum is a little bit what we saw there. And not going to be enough to stall it for too long, but GRUNTo's still in a really good spot as they look to re-engage.
61% on the board for GRUNTo. For Square One, when you see a position that you're in right now, their ideal scenario is let's get value from grab. They need to get a value from this grab, even if it means getting counter grabbed by Harblue, as both teams going to be trading that. And they have to get these ults out of GRUNTo if they want to live.
Well, both grabs are out, but Angelic down. GRUNTo able to get one off their grab. They move on in. Jolt can't get away, was looking for a shatter, can't even hit the button. And GRUNTo just moving back in over onto the point. Square One in a heap of trouble because this will be GRUNTo's flip.
Square One did not find the hold they needed there at all. I mean, they traded out the grabs, but then Zolic's beat on top of the separation they had post-fight. You saw Jolt was still stuck behind the wall. He wasn't able to reconnect with his team after they'd already lost the pick. And now they have to enter point. They have rally, they have ults to break this hold, but Harblue's already 70% getting so much value from these right clicks.
And Rob with the early pickoff, Tizzy following through. And just 2 down for Square One immediately. And the problem with Square One is that already they basically didn't have time. Now they really don't have time. 85% to GRUNTo. Final fight territory on the way.
And they traded rallies in that fight. So now no rally to enter the point. They didn't build any ults in that fight. They just got dropped on and rolled over. So they have to not only move to the point in a stagger sort of situation, but they have no grab. They have no support ults. They have almost nothing. So much of this is on Hot Take, not only to eat the grab, but also potentially have a great peel bomb.
Well, either way, GRUNTo, they're loaded for bear. They early pick up the Square One. They have an opportunity. Wub out of the fight. Tizzy drops the Shatter, doesn't get anything. Harblue going to use the Graviton. All in is GRUNTo here. Here's a grab bomb on the top. The rare grab bomb combo connects. And GRUNTo, they fight their way back. They expend everything they have for it. Square One just overwhelmed.
Square One had that opening pick. They were so aggressive, had so much initiation as the first map goes for GRUNTo. But they couldn't follow up. They couldn't follow up. I talked about before how Hot Date was going to be the key factor there. It's like despite the pick, the ult economy was still far in favor of GRUNTo. And Hot Date needed to drop that bomb a lot sooner. He didn't get to eat, so they need to have the bomb to peel for that grab. And it came out so late that the rest of his team was already dead.
And what really surprised me here in this match is that even though I definitely would give GRUNTo an edge heading into this, I wouldn't give them the edge that we've kind of seen here where I don't really think there was any point in this first map where Square One was making it close. GRUNTo was always in firm control, better fights in neutral, and just better management of ult economy.
Even with some flub transcendences here and there where they're trying to keep someone alive, it didn't really matter because overall, like you talked about, their ult economy was so much better. Their neutral game was so much better. They played the off angles. Jolt still having these problems where on mid-fight in particular we saw it where he wants to be aggressive. He wants to be very aggressive at times, and you have to have, if you want to be that aggressive as Ryan in a meta where 3-3 mirror where you can be punished, you have to have a backline up there and very clear communication. You have to feel like Bumpers is with Titans. And I don't necessarily know if Square One are quite at the point where they can give the amount of peel and have the necessary mechanics with those peel to keep Jolt to be that aggressive and trade his health.
Also, I think one thing that's giving Square One more difficulties here compared to the usual GRUNTo match is that there's almost one less participant here in the match, which is that you don't have GRUNTo fighting GRUNTo to a degree. We see Harblue making better plays overall. I don't think there's a single moment here where Graviton just went off the map for no reason. GRUNTo wasn't making mistakes. And Chicken Contenders, even though they've been a very promising team in their pre-GRUNTo days, they're a team that, they'd look good and then they would do something really against themselves. But in this first map hasn't been the case. Have been playing remarkably solid.
The arch nemesis of Harblue. It's Harblue, says Harblue, pointing himself in the mirror. No one else can defeat Harb but Harb.
The old Spider-Man is what they call that.
And you're right, though, because Harblue, the thing about Harblue is that he sort of has a case of the Baby Bay effect where, or just any player that has incredible mechanics but suffers from pressing Q. And Harblue, there's nothing worse for him on his keyboard to look at where he looks at the Q in fear because like, okay, gosh, I have to press Q again. Hopefully this one doesn't go off the map. Hopefully this one isn't eaten.
But that was a unique thing about his Zarya play along with Baby Bay and Defran. Are you telling me that we're going to have to close the Harblue school of Gravitons? Is that a reality?
Well, they're opening up a new school. It's called the Making Gravitons More Betterer School. The GRUNTo School of Betterer Gravitons. Run by Harblue, Professor Harb. So it's going to be second map. They're going to be going to Paris, our assault map.
Paris is going to be where we're heading to next. And of course, Paris is a map that we've seen quite a bit of variety on in terms of how teams run the defense. Do you run with the Winston? Do you run with a bunker? Or do you run with a normal 3-3? Hey, it's 3 different variants at a minimum most of the time. But that's more than a lot of other maps.
I just wanted to say the 3, like the 2, like the question mark.
Not 1, not 2, but 3. In order now, and you might see 5 DPS in a ladder game coming to you soon.
And we might have 6 caps. You know, the numbers just keep increasing. Just keep going up. So GRUNTo, square one now. Going to be on Paris. Going to be our assault. GRUNTo on the defense first. And you notice they're running a variation of this bunker here. They're running solo tank Tizzy on that solo tank, which is something we've seen a lot of solo tanks, Orisa, while having Harblue not only on the Tor, but Wub on the Ashe and Salty on the Soldier. So they have a lot of extra sustain. They have the ability to deny Pharah. They have the ability to trade shield. The real problem is, it's not so much trading shield as once square one are able to get on top of them and also get solid point presence, this comp has a lot harder time holding onto the point and winning a straight up fight.
Square one's taking a lot of time to decide what they want to do here. That is a long time to go, wait, what are we going to do? And they're going to go for a dive-esque composition here with Sombra and Genji.
I like this swap. I like the swap onto this full dive sort of setup because you don't have to worry nearly as much about trading the shield and trading for that value. Just engage. They have double hit scans, so they need room to work. And Square One is just denying them that room.
Well, they immediately dive on in, and unfortunately, Wub had used the dynamite just fishing for people beforehand and didn't have it up right as everyone went on in. And yet, even then, it doesn't matter. Jolf still just gets isolated and taken down, just too much poke damage, and now you've lost your Winston, kind of the core of your dive.
Square now, they're stuck in a tricky situation where they're playing here on the flank. They're trying to play split. They don't have the Winston to peel for them. They don't have the Winston to make some space. They can't get healed, though. They need to stay alive. They can't lose anyone early because if they get staggered here on the corner, then the problem becomes much, much worse. A triple, man, anti-nade from Rob.
That's just going to be delaying Square One. I don't think GRUNTo's in the spot where they can follow it up. They don't really want to dive into the team that's trying to dive into them. But Wub finds Tri-Spear. And now Diana down. Really not much healing left for Square One. Even as they get down Harb, I think Harb will actually have the opportunity to run back in. But hang on, Hot Take gets another. Now this is a little bit more interesting. Square One start funneling back onto the point as GRUNTo puts a lot of pressure here on Zolik.
GRUNTo, they've lost some of their space, but they are going to be picking up Angelic. Jolf is still alive. Jolf, he's building up towards that primal. Tri-Spear, he has the nano. He's coming back. Jolf needs to stay alive. He can't get caught. See, and the stagger for Square One. They had the point presence. They had some of the space they needed, but they just overcommitted. And this is the problem. Is the fight breaks down, and if they're not having successful dive, GRUNTo's comp is a lot stronger, even with Harblue out. They do force the Valkyrie, though, from Zolik.
Well, Harblue's about to be back soon, and they are green right now, so he's going to have the ooze all ready to go when Square One inevitably dives in onto the point. If anything, for GRUNTo, you know, they can hold a little bit further back and go, please, touch a point. We'll give you the old, you know, kid show experience from back in the day where you invited parents on to just get hit by some unknown substance.
And Dove actually getting swept in, caught by Rob, who's playing here on the flank. See now the field comes out. There is the lava as well. Tri-Spear, though, picking up Harblue. This is not a fight that GRUNTo wants to take. They don't want to play close indoors. Square One has the man advantage, even with Dove not being there. Nano Blade is up. EMP about to be up when Dove returns. This is the win condition fight for Square One. This is the fight where they're going to look to engage.
Nano Blade on the way in. Big All having to deflect pretty early in the process. Moving around, gets one. You have to put the blade away after that. Not the most impactful of Nano Blades, but still might be enough to get the job done. The Square One moving on to the point now. Clear numerical advantage. And I think at this point, GRUNTo probably just looking to buy time, if anything else, especially with Harblue down. Went to the Hammond, try and get back. Already out of it, but getting 3 minutes off the clock, still pretty good.
Impressive heal for GRUNTo as well on that blade. It wasn't the most well-engaged blade from Square One. For GRUNTo, they have Tizzy save the halt, and the halt actually pulls the engage, pulls the dash away for Big Ol, so he can't directly move on. Then Rob puts that nano onto Wub, or it was either onto Wub or Salty. It was one of the two. Make sure he can survive a couple slashes while being pocketed. Square One have made the most important pick of all, though. Not just picking up first, but also they made a swap onto the Sombra Goats and have kept EMP. And GRUNTo have no ults. They have no ults, so Wub has decided to go Doomfist, hoping that maybe they can set up for an early engage or have that peel, use Doomfist as a way to sort of stop that engagement, because they have 0 ults.
Well, finding early Doom pick, that'd definitely be useful, and they go in on the Rhine, off the hack instead, gonna get EMP'd. They serve themselves to Square One on a silver platter, giving Jolt the easiest 3 eliminations he had in his life. Now Square One, they're just gonna walk on over to the point. That might be it.
On point, you also see that is going to be Zolik going down, who needs it for the contest. They can't even touch. That was a good EMP. That was a very good EMP for Dove.
Good EMP, but in a sense, they kind of gave them the dream, which was, you're looking for a good EMP? Wait, why would you have to evaluate our points and take your time when we can all just dive into you all at the same time?
It's just a hot and ready feed. It's a hot and ready feed coming in for GRUNTo in that situation. And they had sort of 2 choices, like I talked about previously. Is that the choices are you either engage first and hope you get some value and force it early, and then we have a recontest, or you play the slower game and hope that maybe Wub on that Doomfist can get some counter engage, but they can't get all caught by the EMP, which is exactly what happens there. So it definitely was a little bit of a misplay for GRUNTo. Square One finish after a lengthy first, finishing up with 3 minutes 44 on the clock. So they have a solid time bank. Not the fastest we've seen, but a solid time bank, a very solid time bank. Now GRUNTo going to be in the offense.
Kind of one of those sad things that can happen in terms of getting snowballed on the point B from ult economy or otherwise, where you take a look at the time here, you go, wow, Square One set a really quick time. What was wrong with GRUNTo's defense? And we know, going back, GRUNTo actually had a very good point A defense, but it doesn't compensate if your point B defense is non-existent.
Now GRUNTo getting ready for their offense. Square One running looks like to be a variation of the Goats with Big Ol on Batiste, which we see this happen fairly often where you have Reflex PS actually play Batiste a lot. And it's a way to just sustain and play for Amplification Matrix. It's almost like playing for Nano, sort of the same concept where you're getting that ult very quickly and they use it to win an early fight. You also have the the good thing about Batiste is that it allows you to survive some of the more impactful triple DPS plays because you can use that Immortality field. Well, negate blades, negate barrages. As GRUNTo, they look at this composition and they say, well, we are going to play just a standard 3-3 with the Zen.
I think that makes sense given what you're seeing here. They were probably expecting to see a bunker or something of a cheesier variety, and instead they go, wait, we can just run 3-3 into this. It's not a big deal. We're not that afraid of Batiste. But maybe they should have been, as is diving from Square One, very effective Immortality field, giving them a little bit of an extra buffer, and they lose Angelic, but no one else.
And to ensure that Tricer stays alive, Tricer is falling down, trying to get to that hope. Is going to live, is going to survive. Good peel coming out. I like Square One taking these aggressive fights with the Batiste comp because what better way to use your Immortality field than to set up this engage, make sure everyone lives, and GRUNTo then have to refocus a different target because generally when you're dropping down from that higher ground, because this is a brutal choke on this Paris entry, especially when they're running a mirror of the Goats. It's 3-3 versus 3-3 still, just a slightly different 3-3. Use that Immortality field to set up your engage and keep everyone alive.
Also, in terms of ult economy, they have a very quick amplification matrix here, and they're going to use it immediately. Big Ol drops on down, and they get the focus fire on the Tizzy. Tizzy down, unable to get away. That's going to be delaying GRUNTo even more.
Now GRUNTo backing up. The amplification matrix was gone. Winning in the fight, which like we talked about, it's sort of like that Nano when you're running on a composition. Is you want to get it fast, you want to have it before any other ults and just win the fight with it alone, which is exactly what GRUNTo did. Now GRUNTo can look to re-enter here. They still are behind in the ult economy, but knowing there's no Matrix, knowing also that Square want to fight them early, they can try to bait a push. They can try to bait a push. They should try to save Armor Pack. Square One, though, not taking the bait so far.
One thing for Square One is that even if they inevitably lose this point, they need to make sure that GRUNTo is drained on as they do it. But now the fight's in play. They're diving on in. They get Salty D-Mac. Tizzy again drop the Shatter and gets Precious Little with it. Again, a good Immortality field to cover Square One as they dive down in the choke.
Precious Little, in fact, if anything, they set up Jolf. Jolf hits like a 5-man, a 4-man in that fight, while Tizzy was going for the Shatter, so it keeps everyone for GRUNTo on the ground. And another amplification matrix has already been built. Square One haven't had to commit any other ults either so far. So with a little less than 2 minutes on the clock and 5 ults on the board, you look at GRUNTo and you see this is a desperate push, because if they lose this and invest ults, it's very unlikely they take first. They're going to need to find value here.
Salty already getting low up, going to use Rally. But right as they use Rally, they get caught and grabbed. Square One moving on in, Amplification Matrix out. That's something you have to take seriously, but GRUNTo able to rotate away from it. The Amplification Matrix, not a big deal anymore. Now Graviton in from GRUNTo. We're going to see the bomb in from Square One. Doesn't connect. In fact, Hot Date ends up dying mid-bomb. So GRUNTo in a much better spot right now. Upside for Square One, it's not a huge snowball threat.
No, especially when they take down Hardblue. Hardblue now will not have that energy, so they can't move immediately first. He hasn't been building grab this entire time. They've delayed enough to where they're not going to be immediately snowballed. They won't have a high energy already to contend with grab. Square One with a solid defense, and that was a good play for Salty. Salty, a consistent performer for GRUNTo, and Salty makes sure to go hunt for Hot Date when the bomb is out. He was split from his team and just catches him on the remake, which is something that a lot of divas sometimes fail to do, struggle to do. It's hard to get that value, but if you can consistently hunt the remake with diva, then that's a player out of the fight.
GRUNTo going to be moving up here. Barrier used early by Square One. Counter engage. Salty getting very low. Tizzy dropping the Shatter, but the Shatter, I mean, knocks down Dove, but it comes at way too much of a cost as Jolt gets 3.
Thorn picking up this fight off that engage. Rob going to pick out Jolt for the end, but it doesn't really matter. The fight's already over. However, if you're GRUNTo, you could be happy about this engagement considering you just traded a beat for a Shatter.
Yeah.
And that's a very important defensive move gone. Shatter's a little bit cheaper than beat is, and especially when you're in a 3v mirror. So now GRUNTo have to look for this next engage. They should know that Dove is coming up on the grab and tries for on Trance. So when Hardblue does get grabbed in this fight, if he does get grabbed, they need to time that well. They need to make sure that they can either force that Transcendence early, or they just peel and try to sustain and have a peel grab.
GRUNTo going to be moving on up. Graviton used first here by Square One, forcing out Transcendence from Rob on the other side. Here comes the bomb, thrown right to the back from Salty, and gets Angelic. And advantage now the GRUNTo as they move in 6-on-5. Transcendence used by Square One. Graviton from Hardblue after the Transcendence is faded. Well connected, another 2 down. And GRUNTo, they've played this fight so well.
Played it expertly, in fact. Salty saving that bomb for a crucial peel moment, and not just saving the bomb, but putting the bomb in a great position where Square One didn't think that it was going to drift directly to the point where they could get punished.
Shatter from Tizzy just going to be the cherry on top here. Square One just trying to get a little bit of extra delay. Very difficult to actually bring the fight back at this point. Rob might be down, but the rest of GRUNTo still very healthy on the point. Square One, again, every second you drain here can be pretty important, but that's going to be it. GRUNTo finishing out the round, and now we go again. It's going to be GRUNTo immediately onto the attack because they did set a significantly slower time.
Significantly slower, but not by any means insurmountable. When you look at Paris and how the first point works out, then the snowball potential, it is definitely... It looks large, but is in reality small. It's really just how you work with it.
I kind of wonder here if Square One is going to change their defense a little bit because, okay, GRUNTo looked at what Square One was running and decided we want to run goats versus that's fine. There is a tendency to go, well, they ran it once, they'll run it again. But Square One now can actually come out on a bunker setup and force a longer swap up here from GRUNTo if GRUNTo just assumes they're going to be up against the same sort of composition. However, as we see Square One on the way out, they're not going to be changing anything up. They're going to be going the same 3-3 setup with the Batiste over the Brigitte.
Well, as the saying goes, if you don't fix what isn't broken, you know, there's no reason to change it. They had a lot of success in the first. GRUNTo had problems entering, had problems getting, and they have a significantly long first hold like they did previously, then that's a victory. That is a victory for Square One already in terms of the overall time bank, in terms of that time economy. GRUNTo now going to be rolling out, probably seeing this, playing the 3-3 again, and this is where they can't afford to have an extremely long offense. Taking first is great with 3 minutes on the clock, but that's enough time, especially when you look at Square One's opposing time bank, that is enough time for them to easily outpace that with a stronger offense.
And in terms of swapping GRUNTo, they just assume that's going to be the same composition again from Square One. They assume correctly. Now, they can be a lot more swift in moving around. They go to the left side to begin with. They don't go through the choke point that they got dropped down on multiple times. And now they're doing a lot better in the poke war. Immortality field down, but the Simon's down, and so is Angelic. A much better engage here from GRUNTo. They learned from their previous mistakes.
They learned. They need to make sure that their flex support stays alive. They don't want to lose them. They want to be able to snowball, which they do. They keep them alive. Good fuel for Salty. This rotation was so much stronger. This in total engagement was so much stronger for GRUNTo. I like that they take that opposing flank, try to take the stairs up onto the high ground rather than force it on the right. because that is where Square One's composition and the defense in general, when you're holding that spot, thrive, is they want to drop on you as you go to the right flank.
Now the scary part here for Square One is that they got rolled over so quickly that there is a bit of snowball potential here for GRUNTo, depending on how they run it. The biggest thing that they have to be worried about here is just Tizzy with Earth Shatter. Tizzy's been pretty aggressive with it, moving on forward, going to be looking for it early in the fight. They do have Amp Matrix that can throw down to mitigate it to a degree in terms of poking them away, but GRUNTo already bringing it to the point, looking for the shield pressure, trying to get the shield break. Amp Matrix can be forcing a little bit of honesty here out of GRUNTo as they hold back a little bit, but now they get to rally. Harblu is bumped to the grab, the Shatter is down and knocks down 3!
Harblu using this grab as soon as that Shatter is out as well, because they know there's no eat, they know they've gotten the D-Mech. They force the Transcendence, but this is fine because of the shield presence and the fact that Jolf, he's not on the point. He's about to go down, he drops the Shatter, but he's done. He can't finish up, and now Salty's bomb becomes the finisher. All they have to do is keep Rob alive and play around this bomb, but Tizzy going a little too deep.
Tizzy falls, but I still think this is pretty good for GRUNTo. They have 1 tick, make it 2, Square One. Gonna be heading on out, looking for extra delay. Still a decent amount up, but it's in advantage of GRUNTo. They get the D-Mech. They're staying here on the point. They lose Rob. The bomb on the top of Salty, though, catches 2, and GRUNTo still in control. They use the beat. They're cleaning it on up.
This will be the cap going out for GRUNTo, and despite those picks, it was looking okay for Square One to make for the recontest, but Salty's bomb was the ever-present threat. As soon as Jolf goes down in that fight, as soon as the Shatter goes down and forces that trance as well to set up the grab, Salty becomes the raid boss. As long as ult is in a well-placed spot, when there's no barriers, it clears the point.
So a much, much better second attack here from GRUNTo. They crack the code on how to deal with the Square One defense. They leave themselves not only time left, but time over a minute, which puts all the more pressure on the Square One as they set up here for their attack, where don't forget, the Square One attack before was very, very poor at getting through point A. So if they take that same amount of time again for point A, they might not even get point B this time. However, as we just saw a moment ago, teams are pretty good about adapting to point A defenses, and as GRUNTo made their adaptations to Square One, we'll see if Square One makes any adaptations to what GRUNTo ran the first time around as well.
They might roll out on that dive again. I mean, they have a lot of options, right? Dive is an option against the double DPS because you can deny the setup. You know that there's not a lot of contest for your backline, so there's definitely a lot of openings here to get set up, to make that space, to take it away. You can play the triple DPS with all those spam comps and just trade out for Tizzy's shield because he doesn't have a matrix. You know you have the better shield pressure, but you're also running into double hit scan in that situation. You could even play 3-3 and just try to walk over the front line, take the fight to point, and deny the space. Square One, though, look like they're going to be playing that dive once again with Big Ol on the Genji, Dub on that Sombra, and just looking for their engages, winning to that win condition. For this fight, it's all about win conditions for Square One. It's about the Genji Blade, it's about the EMP.
And the question for Square One is that can they be coordinated as they move in? Last time around it was a little bit discombobulated. Jolf got taken out early, and Jolf again under very heavy pressure. Same as Hot Day, but this time it's better. They isolate Salty. Salty's out of the fight early. They're able to back on out and heal. And if they can get everyone back on up, they're going to have a very nice 6-on-5 advantage, and that's usually where dive comps thrive. Anytime you get even just one up, it's really difficult for the defense to bring it back.
Look where Harblu's right now. He's actually a little bit isolated. He's taking his Mercy there with him. That rotation from GRUNTo, I cannot agree with that rotation. The fight's over now. It's done.
It's completely done, and it's a big snowball here from Square One, where just like GRUNTo made their adjustments on their second attack, so has Square One.
The adjustments were crucial, but also getting that early pick on the Salty was just as important, because as soon as one of those hitscan players are down, especially one as mobile and with as much utility as Soldier, Square One's front line and their back line is a lot more free to move up, to be aggressive. And Harblu going to that corner setup there and taking Zolek there with him, maybe not where you want to put your Mercy. Your Mercy never wants to be in a situation where they just use their cooldown and is now diveable, which is exactly what happened. They have to swap, put Harblu on the Mei, put Wub on the Doomfist. It's all counter dive. That's a counter dive composition, having the Mei use the wall, use the freeze, and the Doomfist there to deny the tanks.
Begin dive. Doomfist can be here on the defense. Wub just immediately getting hacked. That wasn't an EMP. That was just a mere raw hack. As you see Square One rotating around for a little bit more. And Hot Day can get isolated, taken out of the mech early. Wub getting a little bit of revenge there, but here comes Big Ol. Nano Blade in progress. Square One still thinking they can turn this even down 1. Big Ol dancing around here, looking for targets. Not the worst Nano Blade in the world, and slowly but surely, Square One now getting more presence here in the point. GRUNTo running out players. They lose Mercy, they lose Harb, and now it's pure desperation out from GRUNTo.
Tizzy does get that nano, takes down 2. Tizzy actually contesting the point, gets those 2 frags. That could be so important because GRUNTo, they're on contest comps, and Zolik has Valkyrie.
Doofus goes in close, yet not enough to getting Hot Date out of the fight. Beat gonna be coming in here from square one. EMP though, stripping it. GRUNTo using it. Harblu back into the fight. Harblu and Salty, they've turned it.
Rob and Tizzy, with those plays previously, making all the difference there because they set up GRUNTo to move in. They were on contest. They had the Valkyrie to stop along with the EMP, but Rob stayed alive in main for so long that Tizzy was able to come back on the Hammond and then get the nano before Rob dies. And that was square one just not having a clear enough focus target. They've stopped the snowball now, and they have to move back in and take this other fight. You see now they're going full Somber Goats, and GRUNTo, they're going to be staying on this composition that now that they have both a Mayolt and a Doofus ult. There really isn't a lot to also deny the value from this.
Well, and the scary thing here for square one is that they really only have one good fight left in terms of the ults are going to be available. It all comes down to the EMP from Dove, and they didn't really pick up. Salty a little bit too deep, 6-on-5, EMP built. Square one will not get a better opportunity than this. They open up the bomb, timing a little bit by the wall. Harblu in danger, has to use the Blizzard early, looking for Big O, can't finish it off. Square one, a very good engage here so far. One drops in the meteor strike, only gets 1, still very winnable for square one. Once more cleaning up every member of GRUNTo. I don't think GRUNTo's gonna have a miracle comeback this time.
Raja now coming out on the contest, and you were definitely right with the hack. Tizzy's gonna be going down. There are no ults for GRUNTo. There are no players really alive as they're all coming back to go for the contest. Their goal here is just to bring that time down. Bring that time down slowly but surely. The anti actually out for Rob and the nano. Harblu, Salty.
Nobody can stop me now. Harblu moving forward gets 2. This should not be happening, and yet it is. Square one had everything in full control, but now GRUNTo's fighting it back. They build the EMP mid-fight, but Harblu is one who kicked that door wide open on the Tracer, aided by the nano in from Rob. And GRUNTo going to be repelling square one here and now. There won't be another round as GRUNTo ends the half 2-0.
GRUNTo, their playmaking ability right now has been insane. Their recontest on Paris have been insane. And continuously, Rob has been finding way too much value. He's staying alive. He's not being pressured when square one owns the point that heavily. And he's getting the nano that turns the fight. And Salty comes back at this fight in early death, always has an EMP. Square one, they make some strong opening picks there, but they can never finish it out. They're missing something in the focus fire.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. My response to you right before you said that was going to be, hey, 2 words, focus fire. It was lacking there because when you have that big of a numerical advantage, yes, did GRUNTo come out and have hero plays to bring that back? Sure. But that's always a two-way street. It still required misplays on square one for that even to be a question. However, that does bring us to the end of the half. GRUNTo up 2-0. Will square one be able to fix their mistakes and bring things back and go for the reverse sweep? We're going to find out in just a few minutes.